This is the RSK Mk3, designed by Doug Ritter and produced by Hogue Knives. This is the fixed-bladed version of the RSK Mk1, the updated and improved version of the Ritter Griptillion, a classic EDC folding knife. Not just an EDC folding knife, but a folding knife optimized for survival situations, outdoor situations, basically a high-end blade housed in a high-value handle. As you know, a couple of years back, Doug Ritter went to Hogue Knives to have his RSK line produced again, and they've really, knocked it out of the park over the past few years with the Mk1. This is the mini Mk1. I love this with that purple G-Mascus handle there. And now Doug Ritter and Hogue Knives have released the fixed-bladed version of that series of folding knives. And like I said, this is called the Mk3, a beautiful and light fixed-blade knife. This has, I'm getting ahead of myself there. I just want to tell you that I have used this. I've taken this out in the backyard where I end up using fixed blades the most, quite honestly. I have not a huge property at all, but I have a lot to attend to in the back. And in Virginia here, we get vines. I talk about those vines all the time, like they're the Hydra, from Greek mythology. You cut some back and double the amount comes back, and with a vengeance. And over the past couple of weeks, I haven't had much of an opportunity during the weekends to do that chore, that pruning, basically battling those vines from reaching the house and from overtaking our trees and our neighbors' trees on the lot line. Our neighbors don't take very good care of their property, and I'm afraid that the vines are going to suffocate their trees, and their trees are eventually going to fall on our house. So I'm constantly kind of surreptitiously reaching over the fence and cutting the vines around their trees. They don't seem to notice or mind. So anyway, this is the knife I've been doing that with over the past the past two times I've done that, and it has worked tremendously. Okay, yeah, you say any knife will do that job, and well, yeah, you could say that, but some will do it with greater ease than others. One favorite knife for doing that chore is the super sinuous Vaquero blade in the Voyager by Cold Steel with the serrated blades. Okay, so I would say that this does just as well as that knife, and that knife has the benefit of a deep recurve and serrations. This knife, with its thin blade stock, broad blade, this blade is at its height is 1.5 inches broad, and this very high flat grind. This thing has amazing cutting geometry. It's very, very slender and very thin behind the edge, but robust. And as you've noticed, it is S45 VN. So this blade has done a great job with that task in particular, that chore. I've also used it in the backyard to prune the lower limbs off of a dogwood. And then I have a, what's it called? I want to say sassafras. It's not a sassafras. I'll think of it, a juniper. I have a juniper tree growing in the back that I've been sort of cultivating over the years. I kind of want to see it succeed. And I've been pruning that back and the limbs around it that are taking some of the sun off of it. And I used this for that. Now, it did not work as well for that job that needed, some percussive chopping, because one of the benefits of this knife is that it's very light. This is a great backpacking knife. And I know that because I've gone backpacking with it once. I'm not a huge hiker, though. I'm changing that. I'm looking at shoes. I even want to go camping. I haven't been camping in years. I used to go when I was in my young 20s, and and then that just stopped with my urban lifestyle at the time. So I'd like to get back into that. And this knife, you know, though I have lots of big Bowies and lots of cool big outdoor knives, this knife seems to be ideal for backpacking, camping, and outdoor tasks. Well, this is a survival knife, so it should be, right? But the fact that it's light, and actually, here, I'll show you this sheath. It's a great nylon sheath. I tend not to care for nylon sheaths that much, but this one is really excellent. I want to show you a little detail that shows they care. So as you can see, it has a full plastic, rigid plastic liner to house the knife, so it's not going to come shooting out of this nylon. But this little race right here is so perfect when you're resheathing and you don't want to have to take a look down and be very careful, or you're doing something else but you want to put your blade back. This little plastic race here guides the knife in without stabbing it, poking it, or, you know, if it wasn't there, you'd be likely to just jab into this nylon. So you have a nice little path there. Excellent snaps. I didn't snap it all the way, but excellent snaps. And then you have these two straps, so you can put it on your belt and straddle a belt loop on your pants, and it won't slide around on the belt, and you have the benefit of not having to take your belt off. So I really like the sheath. But anyway, what I was getting at is how this is a good backpacker's knife, good camping knife, good hiking knife, because it's so light but incredibly capable. Now, I have very little experience with S45VN. Frankly, this is my first knife of S45VN. I haven't even stropped it yet, but I've used it a good deal, well, over the last 3 weeks, I guess. I've used it a pretty good deal, and at this point, I would have been stropping, for instance, my 1095 tops knives. At this point, I'd be stropping it. I haven't had to yet. I'm not sure if that has to do with the geometry, if it has to do with the heat treat on this S45VN, or if it's the S45VN itself. I don't know, superior design. I mean, it's a really great blade shape. It's, it doesn't have what am I trying to say? It doesn't have the menace of some fixed blades that I like, but that's not the point of this knife. This is save your life kind of knife. Very nice drop point blade. So over here we have a handle very, very similar to the Mk1 in that it has this sunburst pattern milled into the handle and radiating from the forward portion of the blade. On the knife, on the folder, it's from the pivot. Here it's from the first handle screw. Radiating outward and giving just really excellent grip. And then when you look at it from this aspect, you see it's nicely contoured in this direction. One little tidbit that I find interesting is that the pommel protrudes and is a bit proud of the end of the blade. I'm not exactly sure what that's for. I guess you could use that for cracking coconuts or, you know, percussive tasks. It's not wide enough to use to like hammer tent stakes, I would imagine, unless you're extremely precise. But it sort of tapers there. You can see it gets a little bit thinner on the ridge here, and it concentrates the force in this little area here. So I guess it's great for breaking stuff. I mean, I guess that's how I'll put it. I keep thinking of a coconut. I don't know if this would break a coconut or not. I haven't tried it yet. But maybe bones? I'm not sure. You know, if you're hunting, maybe that's good for bone. But you get the lanyard hole at the end, and it is nice in this reverse grip. Not that this is a knife really intended for that kind of use, that sort of tactical use, but if you needed to, obviously you could, and it feels very comfortable in hand like that. Also, this sort of teardrop-shaped neutral grip allows for, I know outdoorsmen wood, what's it called? Bushcrafters use this grip a lot with the blade facing inward, and they hold a stick here and they hold it against their chest. I'm not sure what that's called, but it feels really good in all grips. You know, this grip, this saber grip. It's really nice with this. Very that jimping is awesome, and it's just recessed under the handle scale line there, so you can still feel it when you bear down. Your thumb meat still gets in there, but it's not an irritant if you're using like a hammer grip like this. But this jimping up here on the thumb ramp is really effective. It's nice and grippy, and you can tell it's a little bit rounded, so it doesn't hurt, but there's enough in there to really grip the thumb. You got a nice sharpening choil so that when you're honing it and sharpening it, you can come up to here and it clears the handle scale without, you're not going to really bump into it there, I don't think. It's really sharp out of the box. This is a KnifeWorks exclusive, so the only place you can get this is knifeworks.com. That's how it works with the RSK1 and the mini RSK1, at least those 3 knives. And they have some cool handle materials. You can get it in black and just different colorways. Excuse the expression. You can get it with, I've seen black and orange. I've seen black and flat dark earth. I've seen it with black and this, tumbled finish. I really like the purple Timascus because I'm a royal and regal kind of fella. And I think they have a couple of other cool colors for the handle scales for the smaller ones. This clip has always been a little ding for me. I like a little thicker clip, but actually this sort of lighter gauge clip works very well. And I'm starting to discover it reduces the amount of friction on your pants, so it doesn't destroy your pants, but it keeps it lodged in place well. But this is not about this. This is about this. So let me compare this to a couple of outdoor knives that I have. Outdoor knives are not a huge category for me, though I've been acquiring them. Here it is with an RSK1 by Cold Steel, which is a much chunkier, heavier, beefier blade. But I just kind of have a feeling they're capable of many of the same things. You could baton with this if you have something small enough. I mean, why not? This, of course, is wedgier and longer and has a more obtuse angle, so might be better at popping open sticks and stuff if you're trying to, or log pieces. Here it is with a knife I love to use outside. This is the Boone 2 by Bark River Knives, a classic sort of American camp knife. Again, bigger, a little bit thicker, heavier. Here it is with a classic, the 119 from Buck. Again, a little bit heavier, a little bit longer, just a different kind of knife, same kind of application. Maybe a little less survival-y, a little more hunter-y, and a little more menacing. Here's a spiritual cousin, I feel. This is the Cold Steel Temperance 2. Cold Steel, what am I talking about? Sorry, Spyderco Temperance 2. It's got a VG10 blade. It's a little bit thicker, but it's got that full height flat grind, so it's got pretty good cutting geometry. It's got the same sort of thumb ramp kind of situation going on there, and just kind of similar, much heavier knife. And with VG10, I have a feeling S45 VN is just gonna kind of run circles around the VG10. Two more I want to show you here. One that's gotten a lot of use in my great outdoors. Anyway, the Tex Creek by Tops Knives. Probably weighs about twice the amount. No, not twice the amount. But it is a little bit heavier than the Mark III here by Doug Ritter and Hogue. A little bit smaller little bit longer in the handle, about same size handle, smaller blade slightly. This is a great outdoor knife, but again, this is, if I had to wear one of these on my hip all day long while carrying a backpack and other stuff, it'd be this. It's just lighter, and you know, the sheath is, let's see here. The sheaths are about the same weight, but you know, this is obviously going to be pervious to weather, and but I do love a classic pouch style sheath. All right, and last but not least, here's a new one to me from the Newfoundland Knife Company. Similar kind of construction, similar also in that the blade stock is thinner, and it's got a flat grind and has just a wicked cutting edge behind the edge here. This, of course, is much redder, and it's bigger, obviously, but this is a great outdoors knife as well. You got the same, a similar thumb ramp situation happening there. This one I always thought needed a lanyard hole. It's got one here, but it would be nice to have one here as well. So, oh, wait, one last one that I keep right here on my desk. Let's see. Here is the RTAC 2 by Ontario Knife Company. What is this? Randall Adventure Training. I always forget what RAT stands for. Randall Adventure Training, line of knives from Ontario Knife Company. Obviously way bigger, obviously way heavier, but I gotta say, like, these would make great companion pieces if you're gonna carry two fixed blades out in the woods on a camping trip or on a hike or on a survival trip, and you don't mind carrying this Goliath. This would make a great pair. This could be your machete and your you know, what do you call it, batoning knife, and your heavy duty chore knife, and then this could be your everything else knife. Though if all you have is this, I think you are in very, very good shape. I'm really excited about this knife. I took this on a hike this past weekend with my girls. We went to this great boggy meadow. Oh man, it was cool. It was, I told my girls a scary story there, and while we were walking through, and that night, my older daughter just could not sleep. I scared the crap out of him. It was a great spot for that. It was eerie and beautiful, just a beautiful swampy, woodsy place. And anyway, I had this with me. I also had a tomahawk with me, just in case any of the creatures I was telling stories about actually came out. Maybe we'd have a fighting chance. This in one hand, tomahawk in the other. All right, I've gone on too long. Let me just say this Doug Ritter designed Hogue Knives made RSK 3, that stands for Ritter Survival Knife 3 in S45VN and G10, is an outstanding outdoors knife for its lightness, its sharpness, its broad bladed, thin behind the edge capability. So highly recommend it. Go to knifeworks.com if you want this, because that's the only place you can get it. All right, have a great one.